First impressions, take two. Don't you wish you had a second chance to make a great first impression? Well, today you need to make sure that you're making a great impression right off the bat. And I'm going to talk to you right now about 5 fantastic tips on how to make sure that you can engage, inspire, and delight your members, how you can attract new members, how you can nurture the ones that you do have. I'm Kelly Verla, and thank you so much for joining me. Much of what I talk about will border on the book that I've written on engagement. It's called Ready, Set, Engage, How to Tap In, Tune In, and Turn On Your Workforce. I'm going to give you an abbreviated version now, but in my extended class, we'll talk about 16 very specific benchmarks where you can tell whether your groups are engaged or actually ready to check out. Let's start. Tip number 1, thank them. Now, I know you probably already do this. You can put a big check mark by this, but now I'm going to ask you to expand the check mark a little bit and say, how are we thanking them? Have we put some really good thought into it? Do we have a SWAT team for an amazing thank you? In other words, when somebody comes to the meeting, whether they have joined yet or not, we want to make sure that we are giving them some attention, but we also want to make sure that we're tapped into them and their needs. So a thank you for a comment, a thank you for a compliment, a thank you for a feedback, big deal, but how do we do it? Let's make sure that we're doing high-level thank yous as well. A welcoming email or a phone call from an executive director, it goes a long way, more than just a note from somebody on a program committee. So make sure that we are doing high-level thank yous. Let's also make sure we're doing customized thank yous, depending on your region, your area. Do you have some kind of a cool swag bag in an orientation for them where we're asking them to hang on, stick around, come back, make sure that we're giving them some way to get back in touch? Is there something in that bag that is a constant reminder? Is it a calendar, maybe a magnet that has all of our dates that we're getting back together? Something along those lines. Second thing, give them a great orientation. Now, many times it'd be very, very helpful if you have an orientation meeting before the meeting, so they know what they're going to be expecting and what's going to be there in the meeting for them. Another thing you could also do is to have a very special placard at a table that could be made up of all kinds of seasoned members, but that little space right there is designated visitor or new member. We want to be sure that we don't have people walk in the door and get intimidated. And what can happen is some of your seasoned members can get into these little cliques, and sometimes that's intimidating for some of the new people who do not know anyone. Here's another thing. You can also make sure to tell them in their communications what kinds of things are going to be coming down the pike. How are we going to meaningfully inform you about what's up and what's happening in all of our meetings, our events, how we get together, how do we communicate with each other, and we want to make sure they're adding us to their safe sender list. We want to direct them to our online resources, and a really quick, cool little card would be really nice to do. A third thing you can do is assign them a buddy. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm on the lookout when I'm in my meetings, because I'm attending quite a few meetings of my own in associations that I belong to, and I'm on the board on a couple of them. But I'm looking for new people. I'm looking for the person who has the temporary name tag on. And I go straight over to them when we get a break and I say, hi, welcome, how are you? So I may not be the designated buddy for the long term, but this is an idea that you could do, and it really could make a huge difference. We don't want people to come in unnoticed and then they leave unnoticed. So let's make sure that we can think of a system. One of the things you could do is have a buddy. Somebody who's there to be the question answerer for them. One of the groups I work with, which I really love this, we do a rotating buddy. So every month you're going to get a different person that you're going to work with. And it may be somebody that you cursorily knew. That's a fancy word for surface that I just made up. Or it could be somebody that you've known for quite a while, but it could be a brand new person too. And over the course of the year, you could have 12 different people that were designated to deep dive. Now, of course, all of these would be on a volunteer basis. We don't want to grab anybody and make you be a buddy, but we want to be sure that it's somebody who wants to tune in. And this is also has a secondary benefit to it. You know how sometimes we have members that have been around for a long time, and sometimes they start to fade and they're not as tapped in. And we want to make sure we have a way to keep that beautiful legacy going, because let's think about it. Come on, they're the legends, right? So we want to keep them around. So think of a buddy system, some way to keep in that social community. Also make sure that they know where they can go. You have that Facebook page, meeting page, those kinds of things. Fourth thing, as an idea, get personal. Personalize the member experience. Make sure that we're giving them specific content needs. Make sure you're asking. That feedback is really important. You know, when we have a meeting in one of the groups that I'm in, we do a giant QR code right up on the screen that's a survey. And we do it right there on the spot before everybody leaves from the meeting. I mean, our guest speaker is still standing there, for goodness sakes, but it's a quick way to catch people. We also have on every table a table tent with that QR code that basically says, how are we doing? And then we want to find out from you also, what are your career goals? Where do you want to be a year from now? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? What are your specific needs? Do you want more of the craft? You want more of the business model? What exactly are you looking for? We need to find those things out, and we need to have a great way to get through to people. It's kind of like the three bears. You know, we want to ask these questions like, are we giving you enough of what you want? Are we giving you too much of what you want? Which I find that kind of hard to believe. Or is it just right? The fifth thing I would encourage you to do is take it a step further. In other words, make sure that we're letting people know what's up, where they can get information. And also make sure that you're testing the barometer and the temperature. Now, many groups do what we call an engagement survey. And if you do that, make sure that you do something with the data that you get in. You've got to be resolute about this. You cannot just have people making comments and then we're not even letting them know how it was received. We're acknowledging it. We're thanking them. You know, once I worked for a company and I could swear, when we put a suggestion in the suggestion box, I thought there was a shredder on the other side. And you'd put your suggestion in, it would go, thanks for your suggestion. We didn't think they heard us because we didn't get any feedback. So if you're going to go that extra mile, and you're going to get what we call that high ROI, I know you're thinking of return on investment, which is really crucial for all of our members, but it's also important, put that little twist on it, and remember, ROI can also mean return on interaction. So think about it. Think about getting your people to be there when they're there in every instance. I would love to be able to work with you in a variety of ways. I'm also the founder of Engage University, where we do online, on-site, and on-demand. We can even custom curate an LMS system for you and your group. If you just want to do a leadership series, or what if you just want to do an on-suite of the Microsoft programs, any of those things we can do. And a couple of extra things that I can do for you. Love to MC, love to host panels. And if you find that the match is good, and let's just hear a chat and talk about the possibilities. I look forward to working with you and helping you grow your members and helping them tap in, tune in, and turn on and be totally engaged and inspired and delighted by you and what you provide for them in the scheme of things. So great to speak with you. I look forward to talking with you soon. Thanks.